Hi. Hello. 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 Hi, Nashki-chan. Good morning. It's been a long time. Hi. Um, Welcome to the church segment of the of the week. It's Sunday. Sunday's Bible reading. Uh, I'm always in your heart and mind. Hug. Feels like yesterday. Where have you been? Have you been good? Yeah, we're doing dancing after church. If that's okay. Is that okay? I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I haven't seen you stream. I don't know if that's you came for church. Uh Really? We got ourselves a new book. A fresh new book. This book is The King's One. The King's One. We read Samson 2 last week. And anybody remember what happened last week? Something about David. David's son. David's son did something naughty against his sister, but then his brother, David's other son, was like, I didn't like that, so he hunted him down to kill him and killed him. But so then he fled away from David, his father, and only after 3 years. Blessed morning, Manuka. I think somebody convinced David that one shall forgive. Blessed morning, Manuka. Blessed morning, Bill and Elif's Filsburn. And then somebody convinced David, one has to forgive thine for killing thine son. He is but your son, something. And so David sent for his son, what's his name, and brought him back to his kingdom. But then the son was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take over and I'm going to kill my father and take over the whole of Israel, and I'm going to be king. And did he die? Did David kill his son for that? I don't remember. You remember? I don't remember what his son's name was. I'm so bad with names. Anyway, let's begin. I think this might only be a short reading, and then we'll go do dancing because this is a short book, so I don't want to begin next session with only like 3 chapters left. When King David was very old, he could not keep warm even when they put covers on him. So his attendants said to him, Let us look for a young virgin. We're off to a good start. Let us look for a young virgin to serve the king and take care of him. She can lie beside him so that our lord the king may keep warm. Then they searched throughout Israel for a beautiful young woman, and then found Abishag, the Shunammite, and brought her to the king. The woman was very beautiful. She took care of the king and waited on him. But the king had no sexual relations with her. That's my David. That's my David. My David. Righteous and true David. Now Adonijah, whose mother was Haggith, put himself forward and said, I will be king. So he got chariots and horses ready, with 50 men to run ahead of him. His father had never rebuked him by asking, Why do you behave as you do? He was also very handsome and was born next after Absalom. Adonijah conferred with Joab son of Zeruiah and with Abiathar the priest, and they gave him their support. But Zadok the priest, Benaiah son of Jehoiada, Nathan the prophet, Shimei and Ray, and David's special guard did not join Adonijah. Adonijah then sacrificed sheep, cattle, and fattened calves at the stone of Zoheleth, near En-Rogel. He invited all his brothers, the king's sons, and all the royal officials of Judah. But he did not invite Nathan the prophet, or Benaiah, or the special guard, or his brother Solomon. Then Nathan asked Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, Have you not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, has become king, and our lord David knows nothing about it? Now then, let me advise you on how you can save your own life and the life of your son Solomon. Go into King David. Solomon must be the son that got exiled and then brought back and then decided, you know what? I'm king. Or was it? I don't remember. Go into King David and say to him, My lord the king, did you not swear to me, your servant? Surely Solomon your son shall be king after me, and he will sit on my throne? Why then has Adonijah become king? While you are still there talking to the king, I will come in and add my word to what you have said. So Bathsheba went to see the aged king in his bedroom, where Abishag the Shunammite was attending him. Bathsheba bowed down, prostrating herself before the king. What is it you want? The king asked. She said to him, My lord, you yourself swore to me, your servant, by the Lord your God, Solomon your son shall be king after me, and he will sit on my throne. But now Adonijah has become king, and you, my lord the king, do not know about it. He has sacrificed great numbers of cattle, fattened calves, and sheep, and has invited all the king's sons. Abiathar the priest, and Joab the commander of the army, but he has not invited Solomon your servant. My lord the king, the eyes of all Israel are on you, to learn from you who will sit on the throne of my lord the king after him. Otherwise, as soon as my lord the king is laid to rest with his ancestors, I and my son Solomon will be treated as criminals. While she was still speaking with the king, Nathan the prophet arrived, and the king was told, Nathan the prophet is here. So he went before the king and bowed with his face to the ground. Nathan said, Have you, my lord the king, declared that Adonijah shall be king after you, and that he will sit on your throne? Today he has gone down and sacrificed great number of cattle, fattened calves, and sheep. He has invited all the king's sons, the commanders of the army, and Abiathar the priest. Right now they are eating and drinking with him and saying, "Long live the king Adonijah." But me, your servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah son of Jehoiada, and your servant Solomon he did not invite. Is this something my lord the king has done without letting his servants know who shall sit on the throne of my lord the king after him? Then King David said, "Call in Bathsheba." So she came into the king's presence and stood before him. The king then took an oath. "As surely as the Lord lives, who has delivered me out of every trouble, I will surely carry out this very day what I swore to you by the Lord, the God of Israel. Solomon your son shall be king after me, and he will sit on my throne in my place." Then Bathsheba bowed down with her face to the ground, prostrating herself before the king, and said, "May my lord king, David, live forever." King David said, "Call in Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada." When they came before the king, he said to them, "Take your lord's servant with you, and have Solomon my son mount my own mule, and take him down to Gihon. There have Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him king over Israel. Blow the trumpet and shout, 'Long live King Solomon!' Then you are to go up with him, and he is to come and sit on my throne and reign in my place. I have appointed him ruler over Israel and Judah." Benaiah son of Jehoiada answered the king, "Amen. May the Lord, the God of my lord the king, so declare it. As the Lord was with my lord the king, so may he be with Solomon to make his throne even greater than the throne of my lord King David." So Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, Benaiah son of Jehoiada, the Kerethites and the Pelethites went down and had Solomon king mount King David's mule, and they escorted him to Gihon. Zadok the priest took the horn of oil from the sacred tent and anointed Solomon. Then they sounded the trumpet, and all the people shouted, "Long live King Solomon!" And all the people went up after him, playing pipes and rejoicing greatly, so that the ground shook with the sound. Adonijah and all the guests who were with him heard it as they were finishing with their feast. On hearing the sound of the trumpet, Joab asked, "What's the meaning of all this noise in the city?" Even as he was speaking, Jonathan, son of Abiathar the priest, arrived. Adonijah said, "Come in. A worthy man like you must bring good news." "Not at all," Jonathan asked. "Our lord King David has made Solomon king." The king has sent with him Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, Benaiah son of Jehoiada, the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and they have put him on the king's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king at Gihon. From there they have gone up cheering, and the city resounds within it. That's the noise you hear. Moreover, Solomon has taken his seat on the royal throne. Also the royal officials have come to congratulate our lord King David, saying, May your God make Solomon's name more famous than yours, and his throne greater than yours." And the king bowed in worship on his bed. And said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has allowed my eyes to see a successor on my throne today." At this, all Adonijah's guests rose in alarm and dispersed. But Adonijah, in fear of Solomon, went and took hold of the horns of the altar. Then Solomon was told, "Adonijah is afraid of King Solomon and is clinging to the horns of the altar. He says, 'Let King Solomon swear to me today that he will not put his servant to death with the sword.' Solomon replied, 'If he shows himself to be worthy, not a hair on his head will fall to the ground. But if evil is found in him, he will die.' And King Solomon sent men, and they brought him down from the altar. And Adonijah came and bowed down to the King Solomon. And Solomon said, "Go to your home." When the time drew near for David to die, he gave a charge to Solomon his son. "I am about to go the way of all the earth," he said. "So be strong, act like a man, and observe what the Lord your God requires. Walk in obedience to him, and keep his decrees and commands, his laws and regulations, as written in the law of Moses. Do this so you may prosper in all that you do, and wherever you go. Walk in obedience." Yes, walk in obedience to the Lord. It means, woof, you're doing a woofing. And the Lord may keep his promise to me. If your descendants watch how they live, and if they walk faithfully before me with all his heart and soul, you will never fail to have a successor on the throne of Israel. Now you yourself know what Joab son of Zeruiah did to me, what he did to the two commanders of Israel's armies, Abner son of Ner and Amasa son of Jether. He killed them, shedding their blood in peacetime as if in battle, and with that blood he stained the belt around his waist and his sandals on his feet. Deal with him according to your wisdom, but do not let his grey head go down to the grave in peace. But show kindness to the sons of Barzillai of Gilead, and let them be among those who eat at your table. They stood by me when I fled your brother Absalom. And remember, you have with you Shemiah, son of Gera, the Benjaminite from Bahurim, who called down bitter curses on me the day I went to Mahanaim. When he came down to meet me at the Jordan, I swore to him by the Lord, I will not put you to death by the sword. But now do not consider himself innocent. You are a man of wisdom. You will know what to do with him. Bring his grey head down to the grave in blood." Then David rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. No, David, no. David, he died. That's it. That's the sentence that puts him to death. Then David rested with his ancestors. David died. We've been with David for 3 whole books, and he's just gonna die like that? There's never going to be a noble, more righteous king ever. That's it. He had reigned 40 years over Israel, 7 years in Hebron, and 33 years in Jerusalem. So Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his rule was firmly established. Now Adonijah, the son of Haggith, went to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother. Bathsheba asked him, "Do you come peacefully?" He answered, "Yes, peacefully." Then he added, "I have something to say to you." "You may say it," she replied. "As you know," he said, the kingdom was mine. All Israel looked to me as their king. But things changed, and the kingdom has gone to my brother, for it has come to him from the Lord. Now I have one request to make of you. Do not refuse me." "You may make it," she said. So he continued, "Please ask King Solomon, he will not refuse you, to give me Abishag the Shunammite as my wife." When Bathsheba went to King Solomon to speak for him, for Adonijah, the king stood up to meet her, bowed down to her, and sat down on his throne. He had a throne brought for the king's mother, and she sat down at his right hand. "I have one small request to make of you," she said. Do not refuse me." The king replied, Make Make it my mother. I will not refuse you. So she said, Let Abishag the Shimonite be given in marriage to your brother Adonijah. King Solomon answered his mother, Why do you request Abishag the Shimonite for Adonijah? You might as well request the kingdom for him. After all, he is my older brother. Yes? For him and for Abiathar the priest and Joab son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon swore by the Lord, May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if Adonijah does not pay with his life for this request. And now, as surely as the Lord lives, he who has established me securely on the throne of my father David, and has founded a dynasty for me as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death today. So King Solomon gave orders to Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and he struck down Adonijah, and he died. To Abiathar the priest, the king said, Go back to your fields in Ananoth. You deserve to die, but I will not put you to death now. To Abiathar? Who's Abiathar? The priest. Oh, it's Abiathar. To Abiathar the priest, the king said. I like when my religion contains character names that sound like Amish Skyrim characters. I was thinking earlier while I was making this book. A lot of the names in the Bible kind of sound like orc names. Like Grog and so to Abiathar the priest, the king said, Go back to your fields in Ananoth. You deserve to die, but I will not put you to death now, because you carried the ark of the sovereign Lord before my father David, and shared my father's hardships. So Solomon removed Abiathar from the priesthood of the Lord, fulfilling the word of the Lord had spoken at Shiloh about the house of Eli. When the news reached Joab, who had conspired with Adonijah, though not with Absalom, he fled to the tent of the Lord and took hold of the horns of the altar. King Solomon was told that Joab had fled to the tent of the Lord, and he was beside the altar. Then Solomon ordered Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, Go, strike him down. What? So Benaiah entered the tent of the Lord and said to Joab, The king says, Come out. But he answered, No, I will die here. Benaiah reported to the king, This is how Joab answered me. Then the king commanded Benaiah, Do as he says, strike him down and bury him, and so clear me and my whole family of the guilt of innocent blood that Joab shed. What blood did Joab shed? What? I feel like there was a part missing. I'm not following. The Lord will repay him for the blood he shed. Good morning, Manuka. Hi, Sparky. Good morning. Because without my father David knowing it, he attacked 2 men and killed them with the sword. Both of them, Abner, son of Ner, commander of Israel's army. I remember this. And Amasa, son of Jether, commander of Judah's army, were better men and more upright than he. May the guilt of their blood rest on the head of Joab and his descendants forever. But on David and his descendants, his house and his throne, may there be the Lord's peace forever. So Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, went up and struck down Joab and killed him, and he was buried at his home out of the country. The king put Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, over the army in Joab's position and replaced Abiathar with Zadok the priest. Then the king sent for Shimei and said to him, "Build yourself a house in Jerusalem and live there, but do not go anywhere else. The day you leave and cross the Kidron Valley, you can be sure you will die. Your blood will be on your own head." I can't tell if this is deserved or if he's just being if King Solomon is being a hard king. He's being a mean king. Shimei answered the king, "What you say is good. Your servant will do as my lord the king has said." And Shimei stayed in Jerusalem for a long time. But 3 years later, 2 of Shimei's slaves ran off to Achish, son of Maacah, king of Gath, and Shimei was told, "Your slaves are in Gath." At this, he saddled his donkey and went to Achish at Gath in search of his slaves. So Shimei went away and brought the slaves back from Gath. When Solomon was told that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath and had returned, the king summoned Shimei and said to him, "Did I not make you swear by the Lord and warn you? On the day you leave to go anywhere else, you can be sure you will die. At that time you said to me, 'What you say is good, I will obey.' Why then did you not keep your oath to the Lord and obey the command I gave you?" The king also said to Shimei, "You know in your heart all the wrong you did to my father David. Now the Lord will repay you for your wrongdoing. But King Solomon will be blessed, and David's throne will remain secure before the Lord forever." Then the king gave the order to Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and he went and struck Shimei down, and he died. The kingdom was now established in Solomon's hands. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married his daughter. He brought her to the city of David until he finished building his palace and the temple of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. The people, however, were still sacrificing at the high places because a temple had not yet been built for the name of the Lord. Solomon showed his love for the Lord by walking according to the instructions given him by his father David, except that he offered sacrifice and burnt incense on the high places. The king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, for that was the most important high place. And Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon answered, "You have shown great kindness to you, and righteous and upright in your heart. You have continued this great kindness to him, and have given him a son to sit on his throne this very day. Now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God said to him, "Since you have asked for this, and not for a long life or wealth for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be." Hi, Kaz. Good morning. "Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. And if you walk in obedience to me and keep my decrees and commands, as David your father did, I will give you a long life." Then Solomon awoke, and he realized it had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem, stood before the ark of the Lord's covenant, and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then he gave a feast for all his court. Now 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "Pardon me, my lord. This woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The 3rd day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house but the 2 of us. During the night, this woman's son died because she laid on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I was your servant, while I, your servant, was asleep. She put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. The next morning I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw it wasn't the son I had born." The other woman said, "No, the living son is my son. The dead one is yours." But the first one insisted, "No, the dead one is yours. The living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. Don't make assumptions. We don't know who done it yet. She could be telling lies. Then the king said, "This one says, my son is alive and your son is dead, while the other one says, no, your son is dead and mine is alive." Then the king said, "Bring me a sword," he's gonna split them. He's gonna split the baby in half so they can each have half a baby. So they brought a sword for the king. He then gave an order: "Cut the living child in 2 and give half to one and half to the other." The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in 2. Then the king gave his ruling: "Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill him. She is his mother." When all Israel heard the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe, because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice. So King Solomon ruled over Israel, and these were his chief officials: Azariah son of Zadok the priest, Elihoreph and Elijah sons of Shisha, secretaries Jehoshaphat son of Ahilud recorder, Benaiah son of Jehoiada commander-in-chief, Zadok and Abiathar priests, Zariah son of Nathan in charge of the district governors, Zabud son of Nathan, a priest and advisor to the king, Ahisha, palace administrator, Adoniram son of Abda, in charge of forced labor. That's not impressive. Why are they gassing him up? I think it's impressive. He tricked them. He tricked the women into finding out which one was the real one. I think that's pretty smart. What would you have done? If you were in that situation and there were 2 women fighting over a child, what would you have done? How would you have determined which baby was the parents? Which parent the baby was to? Go on, we're all waiting. Care to enlighten us? Enlighten me. Go on. Enlighten us. We're all waiting. We're listening. We're listening through our ears. Would have licked their foreheads and seen which one tasted the most similar. Oh, okay. Oh, alright. You got me. You got me. Solomon had 12 district governors all over Israel, who supplied provisions for the king and the royal household. Each one had to provide supplies for 1 month in the year. These are their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Decker in Makaz Shalbim, Beth-Shemesh and Elon, Beth-Hanan, Ben-Hased in Arbath, Sukkah and the land of Hepher was his, Ben-Abinadab in Naphtah, though he was married to Taphnath, daughter of Solomon, Baana, son of Ahilud, in Tanach and Megiddo, and in all of Bethshan, next to Zereth, and below Jezreel, from Bethshan to Bethabel, and at Mahalah across to Jokmeam, Ben-Geber in Ramoth Gilead. The settlements of Jair, son of Manasseh in Gilead, were his, as well as the region of Argob in Bashan, and its 60 large walled cities with bronze gate bars. Ahinadab, son of Ido, in Mahanaim. Ahimaaz in Naphtali, brackets he had married Basemath, daughter of Solomon. Baana, son of Ahushai, in Asher and in Aloth. Jehoshaphat, son of Peruah, in Issachar. Shimei, son of Elah, in Benjamin. Geber, son of Uri, in Gilead. The country of Sihon, king of the Ammonites, and the country of Og, king of Bashan. He was the only governor over the district. The people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They ate and drank, and they were happy. And Solomon ruled over all kingdoms from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines as far as the border of Egypt. These countries brought tribute and were Solomon's subjects to all his life. Solomon's daily provisions were 30 cors of the finest flour and 60 cors of meal, 10 head of stall-fed cattle, 20 of pasture-fed cattle, and 100 sheep and goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roebucks, and choice fowl. For he ruled all the kingdoms west of the Euphrates River, from Tifsah to Gaza, and had peace on all sides. During Solomon's lifetime, Judah and Israel, so there was peace, but there was once a time there was peace between Gaza and Israel. What happened? During Solomon's lifetime, Judah and Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, lived in safety, everyone under their own vine and under their own fig tree. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for chariot horses and 12,000 horses. The district governors, each in his month, supplied provisions for King Solomon and all who had come to the king's table. They saw to it that nothing was lacking. They also brought to the proper place their quotas of barley and straw for the chariot horses and the other horses. God gave Solomon wisdom and very great insight, and a breadth of understanding and measureless as the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the people of the East, and greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone else, including Ethan, the Ezrahite. The first time we're hearing that name. Wiser than Heman, Kalkol, and Dada, the sons of Mahol. Also the first time we've ever heard these names. Like, is that a great feat? We don't even know these people. And his fame spread to all the surrounding nations. I bet this was these were their Einsteins, you know? They had Einsteins and yeah. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He had 1,005 songs about him? Nah. He spoke about plant life. And you go onto the Israel radio and it's all just songs about Solomon. Yes, I love this song about Solomon. Solomon. He spoke about plant life, from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of walls. He also spoke about animals and birds, reptiles and fish. From all nations people came to listen to Solomon's wisdom, sent by all the kings of the world, who had heard of his wisdom. When Hiram, king of Tyre, heard that Solomon had been anointed king to succeed his father David, He sent his envoys to Solomon because he had always been on friendly terms with David. Solomon sent back this message to Hiram. You know that because of the wars waged against my father, David from all sides, he could not build a temple for the name of the Lord, his God, until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. But now the Lord, my God, has given me rest on every side, and there is no adversary or disaster. I intend, therefore, to build a temple for the name of the Lord, my God, as the Lord told my father, David, when he said, Your son, whom I will put on the throne in your place, will build the temple for my name. So give orders that cedars of Lebanon be cut for me. My men will work with yours, and I will pay you for your men, whatever wages you set. You know that we will have no one so skilled in felling timber as the Sidonians. The Sidonians? That word sounds familiar. Where are the Sidonians now? They live in Lebanon. Sidonians. When Hiram heard Solomon's message, he was greatly pleased and said, Praise be to the Lord today, for he has given David a wise son to rule over this great nation. So Hiram sent word to Solomon, I have received the message you sent me, and I will do all you want in providing the cedar and juniper logs. My men will haul them down from Lebanon to the Mediterranean Sea, and I will float them as rafts by sea to the place you specify. There I will separate them, and you can take them away, as you are to grant my wish by providing food for my royal household. In this way, Hiram kept Solomon supplied with all the cedar and juniper logs he wanted. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household. In addition to 20,000 baths of pressed olive oil, Solomon continued to do this for Hiram year after year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised him. There were peaceful relations between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. King Solomon conscripted laborers from all Israel, 30,000 men. He sent them off to Lebanon in shifts of 10,000 a month, so they spent a month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Solomon had 70,000 carriers and 80,000 stonecutters in the hills, as well as 3,300 foremen who supervised the project and directed the workers. At the king's command, they removed the quarry, large blocks of high-grade stone, and provide a foundation of dressed stone for the temple. The craftsmen of Solomon and Hiram and workers from Byblos cut and prepared the timber and stone for the building of the temple. In the 480th year after the Israelites came out of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, the 2nd month, he began to build a temple of the Lord. The temple that King Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits long and 20 wide, and 30 high. What is that? Is that like half of Noah's Ark? The portico at the front of the main hall of the temple extended the width of the temple, that is 20 cubits, and projected 10 cubits from the front of the temple. Does this still exist today? Can we go there? He made narrow, wide windows high up in the temple walls, against the walls of the main hall, and in a sanctuary he built a structure around the building, in which there were side rooms. The lowest floor was 5 cubits wide, the middle of the floor 6 cubits, and the 3rd floor 7. He made offset ledges around the outside of the temple so that nothing would be inserted into the temple walls. In building the temple, only blocks dressed at the quarry were used, and no hammer, chisel, or any other iron tool was heard at the temple site while it was being built. You know what I just thought? What if religion and evolution both existed? What if while this was happening in Israel, while there were functioning human beings in Israel, everybody else in the world was like monkeys, was apes, and still evolving into humans? What if both is true? You ever think about that? Because there's bones and stuff. There's bones and stuff they found of like old apes. So both can be true. No? You ever think about that? Does the Ark of the God still exist? I personally think Adam and Eve was a metaphor for humans evolving higher reasoning. Humans evolving higher reasoning? What, so the monkey ate an apple and then got smart? And then the monkey ate an apple and then they got casted out and then the monkeys evolved? They couldn't be evil until they became sentient. But they were always sentient, no? They would have always been sentient. Or did God give them more intellect once they left? A pig eating another pig is not evil. I don't get your metaphor. But when monkeys became sentient, that's when they could become evil. Oh. Because they can't understand what they're doing. No, but monkeys are smart. Monkeys are smart and can learn. But one woman monkey was like, you know what? The apple looks mighty delicious. And then they made an apple. They ate the apple and made the man monkey eat the apple. And then they evolved. And then they start understanding. I get it. Is the Ark of the Lord still exist? Can I touch it? Will I die if I touch it? Does the Ark of the Lord from the Bible still exist? No one knows. There is no verified evidence that the Ark of the Covenant still exists today. It was kept in the Holy Solomon Temple after the... Oh no, spoilers! Spoilers! We don't know what happens next. The lowest floor. In building the temple, only blocks dressed at the quarry were used, and no hammer, chisel, or any other iron tool was heard at the temple site while it was being built. The entrance to the lowest floor was on the south side of the temple. A stairway led up to the middle level, and from there to the third. So he built the temple and completed it, roofing it with beams and cedar planks. And he built the side rooms, and all along the temple. No, but is the temple still around? Is the temple Solomon built still around. No. It's not still around. So you can't visit it. The Ark of Covenant is lost forever. What if it's what if it's greedy billionaires? Greedy billionaires like Epstein. It's like Epstein's island, but it's like a different island, and it holds the Ark of the Covenant, and they're hiding it. They're hiding it in like a bunker that you can't get to and you could never find, because they know that it would prove religion, and then they could no longer control the world. What if? What if? And it's like a cult thing. They're tasked their whole lives. They're tasked with protecting the Ark of the Covenant. Oh, that would make a good movie. That would make a good movie. It would make people super skeptical. What are we doing? What are we reading? He built the temple. So he built the temple and completed it, roofing it with beams and cedar planks. And he built the side rooms along the temple. The height of each were 5 cubits, and they were attached to the temple by beams of cedar. The word of the Lord came to Solomon. As for this temple you are building, if you follow my decrees and observe my laws and keep all my commands and obey them, I will fulfill through you the promise I gave to David your father. And I will live among the Israelites and will not abandon my people, Israel. So Solomon built the temple and completed it. He lined its interior walls with cedar boards, paneling them from the floor of the temple to the ceiling, and covered the floor of the temple with planks of juniper. He partitioned off 20 cubits at the rear of the temple with cedar boards from the floor to ceiling, to form within the temple an inner sanctuary, the most holy place. The main hall in front of this room was 40 cubits long. The inside of the temple was cedar, carved with gourds and open flowers. Everything was cedar. No stone was to be seen. He prepared the inner sanctuary within the temple to set the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord there. The inner sanctuary was 12 cubits long, 12 wide, and 20 high. He overlaid the inside with pure gold, and he also overlaid the altar of cedar. Solomon covered the inside of the temple with pure gold, and he extended the gold chains across the front of the inner sanctuary, which was overlaid with gold. So he overlaid the whole interior with gold. Yeah, I get it. He also overlaid with gold the altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary. For the inner sanctuary he made a pair of cherubim out of olive wood, each 10 cubits high. I'm guessing with all of this gold, it became a prime target for gold plunderers. One wing of the first cherub was 5 cubits long, and the other wing 5 cubits, 10 cubits from wingtip to wingtip. The second cherub was measured 10 cubits, from the 2 cherubim was identical in size and shape. The height of each cherub was 10 cubits. He placed the cherubim inside the innermost room of the temple with their rings spread out. The wing of one cherub touched one wall, while the wing of the other touched the other wall, and their wings touched each other in the middle of the room. He overlaid the cherubim with gold. On the walls around the temple, in both the inner and outer rooms, he carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. He also covered the floors in both the inner and outer rooms of the temple with gold. For the entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made doors of olive wood that were on the 5th of the width of the sanctuary. And on 2 olive wood doors he carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid the cherubim and palm trees with hammered gold. In the same way, for the entrance to the main hall, he made 2 door frames. He made door frames out of olive wood that were 1/4 of the width of the hall. He also made 2 doors out of juniper wood, each having 2 leaves that turned into sockets. He carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers on them, and overlaid them with gold, hammered in evenly over the carvings. And he built the inner courtyard of 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams. The foundation of the temple of the Lord was laid in the 4th year, in the month of Ziv. In the 11th year of the month of Bul, the 8th month, the temple was finished, in all its details according to its specifications. He had spent 7 years building it. It took Solomon 13 years, however, to complete the construction of his palace. He built the palace of the forest of Lebanon, 100 cubits long, 50 wide, and 30 high, with 4 rows of cedar columns supporting trimmed cedar beams. It was roofed with cedar above the beams that rested on the columns, 45 beams, 15 to a row. Its windows were placed high in sets of 3, facing each other. All the doorways he had rectangular frames. They were in front part in set of 3, facing each other. He made a colonnade 50 cubits long and 30 wide. In front of it was a portico, and in front of that there were pillars in overhanging roof. He built the throne hall, the hall of justice, where he has to judge, and he covered it with cedar from floor to ceiling, and the palace in which he was to live, set farther back, was similar in design. Solomon also made a palace like this whole for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. All these structures, do you think in this generation, do you think if God became an irrefutable evidence, if God was irrefutable, all of a sudden God came and showed himself to everybody, do you think the world would change? Or do you think do you think the world would still be like this? Still going in this direction, everybody still doing, sinning, sins get worse and worse and worse. Would people start? Would all criminals and sinners pick up a book and start praying? There would be a lot of broken minds. A lot of broken minds. Mentally broken, they're bedridden and unable to think because they witnessed the Lord and couldn't comprehend it. Just sitting there huh? I think as a society we've come too far away from God that I think even if I don't think the people would change. People would stay the same. And then Anyway, I don't know why I went on this tangent. The throne. Maybe I was just so bored. Maybe reading this just made me so bored. I started thinking of of something else. He built the throne hall, the hall of justice, where he covered in cedar from floor to ceiling, and the palace in which he was said to live, set farther back, was similar in design. Solomon had made a palace like this, the hall for the pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. All these structures, from the outside to the great country yard, from foundation to eaves, were made of blocks of high-grade stone, cut to size and smoothed on their inner and outer faces. The foundations were laid with large stones of good quality, some measuring 10 cubits and some 8. Above were high-grade stones.
Morning, Manuka.
I'm back with you. Good morning. Above were high-grade stones cut to size and cedar beams. The great courtyard was surrounded by a wall of 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams, as the inner courtyard of the temple of the Lord, with its portico. King Solomon sent to Tyre and brought Hiram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and whose father was from Tyre, and a skilled craftsman in bronze. Yes, I'm a priest. Hiram was filled. I'm only a priest on Sundays. At least until the book is finished. Then I'm whatever comes next. Hiram was filled with wisdom, with understanding and with knowledge to do all kinds of bronze work. He came to the king, Solomon, and did all the work assigned to him. He cast 2 bronze pillars, each 18 cubits high and 12 cubits in circumference. He also made 2 capitals of cast bronze to set on the tops of the pillars. Each capital was 5 cubits high. A network of interwoven chains adorned with capitals on top of pillars, 7 for each capital. He made pomegranates in 2 rows encircling each network to decorate the capitals on top of the pillars. The capitals on top of the pillars in the portico were in the shape of lilies, 4 cubits high. On the capitals of both pillars above the bowl-shaped part next to the network were the 200 pomegranates in rows all around. He erected the pillars at the portico of the temple. I can't wait till I can change this outfit and go and dress up like a fucking Egyptian, of like some like dog, like one of the gods. Oh, I can't wait. On the capitals of both pillars above the bowl-shaped part next to the network were 200 pomegranates in rows all around. He erected the pillars at the portico of the temple. The pillar to the south he named Jachin, and the one to the north. And then we can get rid of this stupid looking for another word, but I think stupid church with a. It could be Ankh. No. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, I know the one. And then we can go read the Bible in like a pyramid or something. He erected the pillars at the portico of the temple. The pillar to the south he named Jachin, and the one to the north named Boaz. The capitals on top were in the shape of lilies, and so the works of the pillars was completed. He made the sea of cast metal, circular in shape, measuring 10 cubits from rim to rim and 5 cubits high. It took a line of 30 cubits to measure around it. Below the rim, gourds encircled it, 10 to a cubit. The gourds were cast in 2 rows, in one piece with the sea. The sea stood on 12 bulls, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The sea rested on top of them, and their hindquarters were toward the center. It was a head breadth in thickness, and its rim was like the rim of a cup, like a lily blossom. It held 2,000 baths. He also made 10 movable stands of bronze. Each was 4 cubits long, 4 wide, and 3 high. Hi, Seagull Shark. Good morning. This is how the stands were made. They had side panels attached to uprights. On the panels between the uprights were lions, bulls, and cherubim, and on the uprights as well. Above and below the lions and bulls were wreaths of hammered work. Each stand had 4 bronze wheels with bronze axles, and each had a basin rested on 4 supports cast with the wreaths on each side. Above were high-grade stones cut to the size, cedar beams. The great courtyard was surrounded by a wall of 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams, as was the inner courtyard of the temple of the Lord with its portico. King Solomon sent to the Tyre and brought Hiram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and whose father was from Tyre, and a skilled craftsman in bronze. Hiram was filled with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge to do all kinds of bronze work. He came to King Solomon and did all the work assigned to him. He cast 2 bronze pillars, each 18 cubits high and 12 cubits in circumference. He also made 2 capitals of cast bronze to set on tops of the pillars. Each capital was 5 cubits high. A network of interwoven chains adorned the capitals of the top of the pillars, 7 for each capital. He made pomegranates in 2 rows encircling each network to decorate the capitals of the top of the pillars. He did the same for each capital. The capitals on top of the pillars with the portico were in the shape of the lilies, 4 cubits high. On top of the capitals of both pillars, above the bowl-shaped part next to the network, were 200 pomegranates in rows all around. He erected the pillars at the portico of the temple. The pillar to the south he named Jachin, the one... Did I already read this? Oops. Oops. Man, I don't even know if I'm reading the same. He's had a bronze. Yep, I just read a whole... We already read that. On the inside of the stand there was an opening, and had a circular frame 1 cubit deep. This opening was round. That was just a rerun chapter. Yeah. This opening was round, with its basework it measured 1.5 cubits. Around its opening there was engraving. The panels of the stands were square, not round. The 4 wheels were under the panels. The axles of the wheels were attached to the stand. The diameter of each wheel was 1.5 cubits. The wheels were made like chariot wheels, with the axles, rims, spokes, and hubs were all of cast metal. Each stand had 4 cubits, 1 of each corner projecting from the top stand. At the top of the stand there was a circular band 1/2 cubit deep. The support panels were attached to the top of the stand. He engraved cherubim, lions, and palm trees at the surface of the supports and on the panels, in every available space, with wreaths all around. This is the way he made the 10 stands. They were all cast in the same molds, and they were all identical in size and shape. He then made 10 bronze basins, each holding 40 baths of measuring 4 cubits across, and basin goes to each 10 stands. He placed 5 of the stands on the south of the temple and 5 on the north. He placed the sea on the south side and the southeast corner of the temple. He also made the pots and shovels and the sprinkling bowls. So Hiram finished all of the work he had undertaken the King Solomon in the temple of the Lord. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitals at the top of the pillars, the 2 sets of networking decorating the 2 bowl-shaped capitals on the top of the pillars, the 400 pomegranates on the 2 sets of network, brackets 2 rows of pomegranates for each network, decorating the bowl-shaped capitals of the top of the pillars. The 10 stands with the 10 basins, the sea, and the 12 bowls under it, the pots, shovels, and sprinkling bowls. All these objects that Hiram made for King Solomon for the temple of the Lord were burnished in bronze. The king had them cast in clay molds in the plain of Jordan between Succoth and Zaraneth. Solomon left all these things unweighed, because there were so many. The weight of the bronze was not determined. Solomon also made all the furnishings that were in the Lord's temple, the golden altar, the golden table in which the bread of the presence, lampstands of pure gold, 5 on the right and 5 on the left in the front of the inner sanctuary.
Blessed morning, Manuka.
The gold floral, the worked lungs and tongues. Hi KWC, good morning. The pure gold basins, wick trims, check trimmers, sprinkling bowls, dishes, and censers. The gold sockets for the doors of the innermost room, the most holy place, and also for the doors of the main hall of the temple. When all the work King Solomon had done for the temple and the Lord was finished, he brought in the things his father David had dedicated, the silver and gold of the furnishings, and placed them in the treasuries of the Lord's temple. Hi, Mixie, good morning. Hi. Then King Solomon summoned into his presence at Jerusalem the elders of Israel, all the heads of the tribes and the chiefs of the Israelite family, to bring up the ark of the Lord's covenant from Zion to the city of David. All the Israelites came together to King Solomon at the time of the festival of the month of Ethaim, the 7th month. When all the elders of Israel had arrived, the priests took up the ark, and they brought up the ark of the Lord, and the tent of meeting, and all the sacred furnishings in it. The priests and the Levites carried them up. King Solomon and the entire assembly of Israel gathered around him before the ark, sacrificing so many sheep and cattle, and they could not be recorded and counted. The priests then brought the ark of the Lord covenant to the place in the inner sanctuary of the temple, the most holy place, and beneath it, the wings of the cherubim. The cherubim spread their wings over the place of the ark and overshadowed the ark and its carrying poles. These poles were so long that their ends could be seen from the holy place in front of the inner sanctuary, but not from the outside. The holy place, and they are still there today. Actually, they're not there today, because I just chat GPT'd it. It's actually not there, and nobody knows where the Ark of the Covenant is, so... There was nothing in the ark except the 2 stone tablets, and Moses had placed in it at Horeb, where the Lord made a covenant with the Israelites after they came out of Egypt. When the priests withdrew from the holy place, the cloud filled the temple of the Lord, and the priests could not perform their service because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord filled his temple. Then Solomon said, "The Lord has said that we would dwell in a dark cloud. I have indeed built a magnificent temple for you, a place for you to dwell forever." While the whole assembly of Israel was standing there, the king turned around and blessed them. Then he said, "Praise be the Lord, the God of Israel, who with his own hand has filled what he promised with his own mouth to my father David. For he said, 'Since the day I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I have not chosen a city in any tribe of Israel to have a temple built, so that my name might be there. But I have chosen David to rule my people Israel. My father David had it in his heart to build a temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. But the Lord said to my father David, "You did well to have it in your heart to build a temple for my name. Nevertheless, you are not the one to build the temple, but your son, your own flesh and blood. He is the one who will build the temple for my name. The Lord has kept the promise he made. I have succeeded David my father, and now I sit on the throne of Israel, just as the Lord promised. And I have built a temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. I have provided a place there for the ark, in which is the covenant of the Lord that he made with our ancestors.
Blessed morning, Manuka.
When he brought them out of Egypt." Hi, Arios Matcha, good morning. What if God's still in this temple? What if this temple has been buried by the sand and like sandstorms? When God saw all of the corruption and sin going around after the Bible, he made a sandstorm blow over his temple, and then everyone forgot where it was, and he still sits in his temple to this day. What if he's still there? What if he's there, but he's, all we have to do is dig him up, and then he'll come and be our Lord again? I have provided a place there for the ark, in which is the covenant of the Lord that he made with our ancestors when he brought them out of Egypt. Then Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord in front of the whole assembly of Israel, spread out his hands toward heaven, and said, "Lord, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven, above or on below. You who keep your covenant of the Lord with your servants to continue wholeheartedly in your way. You have kept your promise to your servant David, my father. With your mouth you have promised, and with your hand you have fulfilled it, as it is today. Now, Lord, the God of Israel, keep for your servant David, my father, the promises you made to him when you said, "You shall never fail to have a successor to sit before me on the throne of Israel. If only your descendants are careful in all they do to walk before me faithfully, as you have done." Blessed morning. Oh, I'm sorry. Is the word of the Lord boring you? Yawning? Hi, Limus. Good morning. No. The Lord has not provided me with a rested sleep last night. Actually, it was pretty alright. I had a dream. Last night. That reminds me. Sleeping reminds me that I had a dream. And it was about, I'll tell it later. This is important. Listen up. Now the blah 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 promise made you have fulfilled. I don't remember where I was. My God, you have kept your promise. Solomon stood before the altar. Now, Lord, the God of, you have kept your promises to your servant David, my father, with your mouth. You have promised, and with your hand you have fulfilled it, as it is today. Now, Lord, the God of Israel, keep for your servant David, my father, the promise you made for him when you said, "You shall never fail to have a successor to sit before me on the throne of Israel. If only your descendants are careful in all they do to walk before me faithfully, as you have done. And now, God of Israel, let your word that you promised your servant David, my father, come true. But will God really dwell on earth? The heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built? Yet give attention to your servant's prayer and let his plea for mercy. Lord my God, hear the cry and the prayer that your servant is praying in your presence this day. May your eyes be open towards this temple night and day, this place of which you said, my name shall be there, so that you will hear the prayer your servant prays toward this place. Hear the supplication of your servant and of your peoples Israel when they pray toward this place. Hear from heaven your dwelling place, and when you hear, forgive me. When anyone wrongs their neighbor and is required to take an oath, and they come and swear the oath before your altars in this temple, then hear from the heavens and act. Judge between your servants, condemning the guilty by bringing down on their heads what they have done, and vindicating the innocent by treating them in accordance with their innocence. When your people Israel have been defeated by an enemy because they have sinned against you, and when they turn back to you and give praise to your name, praying and making supplication to you in your temple, then hear from the heaven and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land you gave to their ancestors. When the heavens are shut up and there is no rain because you people have sinned against you, and when they pray toward this place and give praise to your name and turn from their sin because you have afflicted them, then hear from heaven and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel. Teach them the right way to live, and send rain on the land you give your people for an inheritance. When famine or plague comes to the land, or blight or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers, or when an enemy besieges them in any of their cities, whatever disaster or disease may to come, and when a prayer or plea is made by anyone among people of Israel, be aware of the afflictions of their own hearts, and spreading out their hands toward this temple. Then hear from the heaven your dwelling place, forgive and act. Deal with everyone according to all they do, since you know their hearts, for you alone know every human heart, so that they will fear you and all the time they live in the land you gave our ancestors. as a foreigner who does not belong to your people, but has come from a distant land because of your name. For they will hear of your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm when they come and pray towards this temple. Then hear from heaven, your dwelling place. Do whatever the foreigner asks of you, so that all the peoples of earth may know your name and fear you, as do your own people, Israel, and may know that this house I have built bears your name. When your people go to war against their enemies, wherever you send them, and when they pray to the Lord toward the city, you have chosen the temple I have built for your name. Then hear from the heaven their prayer and their plea, and uphold their case, their cause. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you will become angry with them and give them over to their enemies, who take them captive to their old lands, far away or near. And if they have a change of heart in the land where they are held captive, and repent and plead with you in the land of their captors, and say, we have sinned, we have done wrong, we have acted wickedly, then hear from the same page. And if they turn back to you with all their heart and soul in the land of their enemies who took them captive, and pray to you toward the land you give their ancestors, toward the city you have chosen and the temple I have built for your name, then from the heaven, your dwelling place, hear their prayer and their plea, and uphold their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Forgive all the offenses they have committed against you, and cause their captors to show them mercy, for they are your people and your inheritance, whom you brought out of Egypt, and out of that iron smelting furnace. May your eyes be open to your servant's plea, and to the plea of your people, Israel, and may you listen to them whenever they cry out for you. For you singled them out from all the nations of the world to be your own inheritance, just as you declared through your servant Moses when you, sovereign Lord, brought our ancestors out of Egypt. When Solomon had finished all these prayers and supplications to the Lord, he rose from before the altar of the Lord, where he had been kneeling with his hands spread out towards the heaven. He stood and blessed the whole assembly of Israel in a loud voice, saying, Praise be to the Lord, who has given rest to his people Israel, just as he promised. Not one word has failed of all the good promises he gave through his servant Moses. May the Lord our God be with us, as he was with our ancestors. May he never leave us nor forsake us. May he turn our hearts to him, to walk in obedience with him, and keep the commandments, decrees, and laws he gave our ancestors. And may these words of mine, which I have prayed before the Lord, be near to the Lord our God, day and night, that he may uphold the cause of his servant, and the cause of all of his people Israel according to each day's need, so that all the peoples of the earth may know that the Lord is God, and that there is no other. And may your hearts be fully committed to the Lord our God, to live by his decrees and obey his commands, as at this time, full stop. Then the king of all Israel with him offered sacrifices before the Lord. Solomon offered a sacrifice of fellowship offerings to the Lord, 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. So the king and all the Israelites dedicated the temple of the Lord. On the same day that the king consecrated the middle of part of the courtyard in the front of the temple of the Lord, and there he offered burnt offerings, grain offerings, and the fat of the fellowship offerings, because the bronze altar that stood before the Lord was too small to hold the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the fat of the fellowship offerings. Day and night. So Solomon observed the festival at the time, and all Israel with him, a vast assembly, people from Lebo Hamath to Wadi of Egypt. They celebrated it before the Lord our God for 7 days, and 7 days more, 14 days in all. On the following day he sent the people away. They blessed the king and then went home, joyful and glad in heart for all the good things the Lord has done for his servant David and his people Israel. For Solomon, children decided to do it. Queen? I think this is a good place to end. Solomon has built a temple to the Lord, and the Lord, he is pleased. Wow. Wow. Remember where we're up to, okay? Chapter 9. Chapter 9. All of that was 8 chapters. We're up to chapter 9. Solomon's doing pretty good. He's doing good work for the Lord. I thought it was a little odd. He started his kingship by killing a whole bunch of people. I thought he was gonna be a mean ruler, the Lord displeased. But it seems he is good. He is good. Wow, let's go dance, shall we? I hope you enjoyed but today's Bible reading. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.